So, folks, we do have to talk about the fact that, everything that's happening economically right now is very clearly the Republicans' fault. And every single day, Donald Trump keeps getting in front of cameras and hammering that home. And the price increases are starting to spook Republicans in places of power because, again, their entire power base has in part been built upon them being the folks who are good at finances and can run things like a business, and a lot of folks in rural America who are Republicans, they did in part vote for Donald Trump on the basis and for their current senators and House of representatives on the basis that, oh, they'll bring prices down. And every single day something happens that absolutely demolishes that narrative.
This offering is to give energy to Abdul El Sayed. The $50 million investment into attack ads and articles have begun.
Oh yeah, we talked about it just yesterday, and it's only going to get worse as the election gets closer, especially as the primary gets closer. Hoi Polloi, thank you for the $5 dono. Folks, go volunteer for Abdul El Sayed, by the way. He's doing great work, and he's currently dominating in the 18 to 44-year-old range of likely voters in the primary. And I'm here to encourage you, if you are in that demographic, you need to go and volunteer for his campaign if you live in Michigan. And, maybe volunteer to phone bank if you don't live in Michigan, because he needs that demographic to turn out and help him win the rest of this race. They got money, we got people. And on that note, here's Donald Trump telling you just what he thinks of the people.
Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. That's the only thing that matters.
Every single Democrat should be shouting this from the rooftops. Every single Democrat should be attacking him ruthlessly and relentlessly on this. These are the kinds of gaffes that in years past with any other president, it would instantly destroy them. These are the kinds of things that are campaign ending if you are in an election. These are the kinds of things that are, potentially going to bring about calls to resign under normal circumstances, but we don't have normal circumstances right now. What we have is a cult of personality that has worked really, really hard to sane wash Donald Trump in the eyes of the American public, especially amongst conservatives. And I just want to throw out there, Jim Jordan is one of those conservatives who is just working overtime to try and convince people that no, this is all very normal. Ha ha ha. This is very, very normal. And here's Jim Jordan on CNN earlier tonight.
What about his promise in 2024 that if he was reelected, gas would be under $2 a gallon because of his policies?
Well, gas prices were coming down until we had to deal with this situation. But, that's life. That's dealing with world and the world we live in. I think the country gets the fundamental fact, and I know I understand this, President Trump makes decisions that are in the best interest of our nation. 250 years, greatest country in history. He makes decisions that are going to help our country and the long-term security and safety of the people he has. And I think you want a commander-in-chief like that. You want to.
What about his?
It's genuinely just. Well, yeah, the prices were going down before this inevitable situation happened. It's it wasn't inevitable. You walked right into this. You are the ones walking us into rake after rake after rake. You're sideshow bobbing us in real time. Maybe that's a reference for the olds in the audience. But it continues. It's genuinely baffling to see somebody make these moves.
You're saying gas prices went up under Biden, and I criticized it then because I didn't like why they were going up. I mean, they're going up a lot under this president. that you supported, but you're just saying it's for the right reason in your view.
Yeah, and it's for a reason that he told the American people he was going to do. One thing.
No, he didn't. He didn't ask anybody for permission to do it. He essentially declared war on another country unilaterally, and we are now beyond the 60 days that Congress has given for war powers, and doesn't seem to matter. Jim Jordan is one of these guys who has just signed off on this entire conflict for no reason other than he has to bend and kiss the ring for this insane man who controls the country.
The thing I know about this president, unlike so many other people in elective office, when this president says something, he does what he said. He said he would cut taxes, he did. He said he would secure the border, he did.
He said he would drive down gas prices, and I mean, he would have, but then, things came up.
He said he would make sure Iran didn't get a nuclear weapon, and he's going about doing that. And thank goodness.
He also ran on no new wars. Exactly.
He's got the courage and the toughness and the willingness to do what he said when most of the other presidents, all the other presidents for 47 years wouldn't do it, but this guy will.
What about his promise in 2024 that if he was reelected, gas would be under $2 a gallon because of his policies?
Yeah, this is the longer clip.
Well, gas prices were coming down until we had to deal with this situation. But, that's life. That's dealing with world and the world we live in.
47 years. Yeah, the Republican line is that we've been in a secret war with Iran for the last almost half a century, ever since the revolution that deposed the Shah. It's really stupid. It's a really stupid argument that every single Republican in office has taken and run with. And it's inane. I want you to know when they make that argument, it's because they think everyone watching them is a stupid moron who will devour their slop.
I think the country gets the fundamental fact, and I know I understand this, President Trump makes decisions that are in the best interest of our nation. 250 years, greatest country in history. He makes decisions that are going to help our country and the long-term security and safety of the people he has and I think you want a commander-in-chief like that. You want a commander-in-chief who's willing to do tough things that he knows are good for us.
It's a long-term investment. Investing in the war in Iran, it's a long-term investment that will pay off. God, but not a long-term investment like in, I don't know, investing in like green energy. That's dumb and gay. Like, no, you have to invest in cool things like killing school children in Iran. Like, these guys are genuinely some of the most evil motherfuckers to ever walk the planet. It is crazy to me that they feel at all at ease showing their faces in public.
All of us, all of your viewers, everyone in this country, and frankly, everyone around the world, it is good if Iran doesn't get a nuclear.
Yeah, also, that's not even touching on the fact that Jim Jordan helped cover up sexual abuse scandals. That's true, Nocturnal.
Weapon.
But if someone's listening to you and they were paying $2.98 a gallon of gas before the war started, and now they're paying $4.53, I mean, saying that's life might not, make them feel better when they're filling up their car.
Those are your words, not mine. I'm saying.
No, you said that's life just now.
This is the situation. This is the situation. They were pursuing a nuclear weapon. They wanted to get there. President Trump said.
See, one of the things that I really hate about mainstream news here in America is that they just let these people bullshit on and on and on and filibuster through an entire segment, and then they clap each other on the back, and it's no, if this guy is just going to straight up say that he didn't say something that a minute ago you have on camera him saying, why give him additional airtime? Why are we allowing these people to lie and gaslight the entire country through these networks?
I'm not going to do that. He ran on that, and he's taken the appropriate action that I think you want your commander-in-chief to take for the security and safety of America.
But he also ran on bringing gas prices to under $2 a gallon. I mean, are voters supposed to look at that and say which one is...
Hopefully we'll get there soon. I want gas prices low, too. I mean, we all want gas prices low. Who doesn't, for goodness sake? But we also don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And I think the country's smart. They understand that decisions have to be made.
We literally didn't have to do this. There's no part of this that had to happen. And if the argument now is, well, we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Then why the fuck are we spending time debating this when Donald Trump is the guy who ripped up the JCPOA and allowed them to like begin enriching more uranium? Iran wasn't developing a nuclear weapon under the JCPOA, and we know that because they allowed in inspectors to make sure that that wasn't happening. And Donald Trump came into office the first time around, ripped it all up, and then Iran was just like, well, okay, you're going to rip up our agreement. We're not going to like hold to the agreement you just ripped up and voided. And like now Donald Trump is like, we have no choice. We have to bomb them. You don't understand.
Let's focus on getting those gas prices down as quickly and as fast as we can. But let's also focus on making sure that this regime, who was willing to hang a 19-year-old star athlete in their country, willing to do that, let's make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon.
Like,
can we talk about the fact that Caitlin Collins has a permanent mew face?
She does.
I find it charming.
She has kind of like a cat face. And I don't even that's not a diss or anything. She just has that look of like a cat playing with her food. Very true and well observed, Sakit Tanuki. Number 2, though, I will also say that when we're talking about all of this, like, oh, we're talking about a country willing to hang a 19-year-old. The Supreme Court literally today allowed for an execution to go forward of a person like deemed to be like mentally unfit to like stand trial. And like they're just like, well, he did a heinous crime, so like put him to death. But like are we better? We're putting a man to death who's like who's deeply mentally ill to the degree he can't make decisions for himself. Yeah, like we do that right now.
You said that's life. I was just quoting what you said a second ago. Those
like also a country willing to put a 19-year-old to death. We bombed a school full of elementary girls and killed 160 of them.
were not my words; those were your words.
No, I'm not saying that's life. Like I'm saying, life sometimes throws things at you that you didn't anticipate, and you have to deal with it. And you want a commander in chief who will deal with it and deal with it in a
but he's the pitcher. He threw. That's the
way that is focused on the safety of the people he was elected to serve and protect.
You're saying,
but it's just every single day, Republicans get on TV and shit themselves about prices because it's getting worse and worse and worse. I'm going to play you this clip from Donald Trump on Hannity. All right.
There probably is a deal to be had on the energy front, which would be great for our country.
So I told him I'd love to see you buy oil from Texas and Louisiana, from the United States, Alaska. We've got so much of it. And he said he likes the idea. He'd like to talk about that. I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I don't know.
I think that would be a huge announcement.
Look, they're doing it right now. They're sending Chinese ships up to buy oil.
They do.
So we're doing, and I don't like talking about it because then the fake news media says, Trump doesn't talk about.
I'm playing that Curb Your Enthusiasm meme song because, China is sending their ships to get oil from the United States. Because China buys over 600,000 barrels of oil from the United States every year. And they have been doing that every year because they import a lot of their oil. So they buy a lot of oil from the United States and have been sending their ships this entire time to the United States to get said oil and ship it back to China. Again, everything that Republicans are saying right now is because they think you are the dumbest motherfuckers to ever exist.
The fact that somebody's paying $2.50 from, I had it down to $1.85 in Iowa a gallon. So now it's $4, and it's going to not be long. And as soon as the war ends, it's going to go down to lower than it was before. It's going to be very quick. And, when I explain it to people, all you have to do is say, do you think Iran, they're crazy, should have a nuclear weapon? Everybody says no. I said, well, then you think I'm doing the right thing.
It probably is a deal.
No. I had it down to under $2, and then now it's over $4, and it'll be over soon. Don't worry. Meanwhile, over in the House of Representatives, here's how that messaging is going over when House Speaker Mike Johnson had to go in front of Fox News.
Up to not great news today when it comes to inflation, up at 3.8%, highest since 2023. So far, a 40% spike in terms of food prices, grocery prices, core inflation. Those numbers are up. Mostly has to do with energy. It can't be the great surprise, but certainly not good news.
Not good news, and real families are feeling that, and we're keenly aware of it, very sensitive to it here in Congress. We put together all the pro-growth policies in the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cuts, to allow the U.S. economy to take off like a rocket, and we were doing that prior to the conflict in Iran. So now we've got to settle that out. The Strait of Hormuz is the big wild card here, and as soon as we get that done, I agree with the president. I think the prices come right back down to where they were. Remember that gas prices were at a 4-year low before that began, and we're beginning to see incredible growth in the economy. Other indicators are good, but you got to get the prices of groceries and gas down, and we're working every day to make sure that happens.
What is interesting to me about this entire exchange is, number one, Brian Kilmeade is not a hard-hitting journalist by any means or any stretch of the imagination, right? But he's right. And he mentioned something very interesting here. I'm going to play it back again for you guys.
Not great news today when it comes to inflation, up at 3.8%, highest since 2023. So far, a 40% spike in terms of food prices, grocery prices, core inflation. Those numbers are up. Mostly has to do with energy.
All of that is terrible news for the GOP in a number of different ways. In particular, because we're not that far out from the 2024 election. And I don't know about you guys, but I remember, having covered quite a bit of it, a lot of what Donald Trump promised. And Donald Trump was campaigning on bringing the price of everything down with energy, by bringing down energy prices, specifically by flooding the market with oil so that gas prices would come down, and then the price of everything, by extension, would come down, right? That was his big pitch. And what we have here is not only is inflation going up, it's likely going up more than just the 3.8% that Brian Kilmeade here is saying, largely because a lot of the methods of getting these economic indicators have been blown up by the Trump administration. But even if we just take it at face value, 3.8% inflation, that's really not great. That's not great. 40% more expensive groceries. That's not great either. And most of that coming from gas. There is a very clear laying out here that basically everything that Donald Trump campaigned on is going up in smoke. It is dying as we speak. I think that that's important. I think the collapse of the general perception, even among Republicans, of Donald Trump as being particularly good for the economy is maybe one of the most important components to come out of this, because this does, Mike Johnson there kind of gives the game away a little bit, and he's like, we are very keenly aware, because they're hearing about this.
Touching the stove. This is like they grabbed a scalding pot handle and launched hot oil and fire across the kitchen, and now the house is on fire.
Yeah, it's like they were cooking some delicious bacon and did an infomercial fumble, and now like there's a grease fire raging in the kitchen, and they're like, and Mike Johnson is sitting in like the living room and being like, we are keenly aware that the kitchen is on fire. But hey, in other news, the fire department will be here soon, and we can, in the meantime, eat these steamed clams. And like, it would be almost comedic if it wasn't destroying people's livelihoods and like ability to live, right? No, mother, that's just the Northern Lights. Exactly. So we have all of this happening, and I do have to say one thing that I have enjoyed seeing here is a couple of different things. Number one, this allows for us to draw a very clear distinction between what the GOP offers and what Democrats can offer, and what even like further left elements in the country can offer.
This super chat will be unable to buy a gallon of gas and will barely cover the cost of a frozen pizza by the 4th of July.
God, where are you getting your frozen pizzas? They're $5. But thank you for the $5 super chat. We are getting really close to that, by the way. I would hazard even like $5 won't buy you a gallon of gas by like mid-June. You know, like it is accelerating in a terrible fashion. It's already above 5 in Oregon. Fuck. But all of this is happening while in the meantime, folks like Zoran Mamdani are like just chugging away in the background. He's balanced the budget for the city of New York. He's specifically engaged in activities that put him and socialism and socialists in general in the light of like fiscal responsibility, which is genuinely an incredibly positive achievement. Like that is really, really great because it kills at the root the entire argument against socialism that Republicans and Democrats routinely use, which is, well, it's nice on paper, but how are you going to pay for it? So Zoran's out here, and he's responding to this Brian Kilmeade position. Inflation is at a 3-year high. Everything costs more: groceries, gas, healthcare, a plane ticket. The math is simple. Every American dollar spent overseas on war is a dollar that could have been spent here at home to pay for a dignified life. It's time we change the equation. Like, this is the kind of moment, politically, economically, etc., where we begin to see like the more positive elements of the cool zone, what I've been talking about for a while here, begin to develop. We are in a period of like unparalleled political possibility, and that does mean that it's intensely scary because that possibility window has widened both in the direction of positive, building a positive future, but also in the direction of building a deeply negative authoritarian future. And so our job right now is to do everything we can to weight the scale, to weight the possibilities towards the productive, positive, leftward direction, right? And I mean, like, I gotta be honest, I don't know how many of you have been paying attention to it, but just as the cherry on top of all of this, I'm going to take a little bit of a pot shot. The other day, I did a segment on the Washington Post editorial board and how they have been relentlessly attacking progressives across the country, just running piece after piece of like, actually, you can earn $1 billion, or maybe you shouldn't tax billionaires. Like, it's genuinely like comedic. Like if Ebenezer Scrooge wrote like opinion pieces that were insufferable instead of, was he? I forget what he was in I want to say The Night Before Christmas. I know that's not right. Oh God, Christmas Carol. Jesus. But I want to play this for you guys because the Washington Post launched a new show called Make It Make Sense. It's been this podcast is genuinely one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, but it's genuinely funny for all of the wrong reasons with how out of touch it is. So I'm going to play you guys 1 minute and 10 seconds that they put out about a recent episode they did. And it's basically, what if we showed you all of the people who are behind the Washington Post editorial board opinion pieces?
When Gavin Newsom says he's giving out free diapers, what he really means is taxpayers are on the hook for $20 million. Talk about a nanny state. Last week, the governor announced a plan to give 400 diapers to new parents when they leave the hospital. Sounds nice, until you remember that nothing about it is actually free. In fact, Newsom's idea of free might explain why state spending has exploded by well over $100 billion since he took office. Now, the program runs through a nonprofit with some pretty cozy ties to the Newsoms. Its co-CEO sits on the board of another nonprofit, run by none other than Newsom's wife. That's when you know government is getting far too big, when publicly funded benefits start flowing through well-connected circles. And here's the fundamental problem. If Newsom really wanted to help families, he wouldn't be handing out diapers, because he wouldn't have to. He'd be boosting prosperity and opportunity. He'd be lowering the cost of living, dealing with crime, making energy more affordable. He'd be tackling those day-to-day quality of life issues.
Yeah, you know, day-to-day quality of life issues, like having a place for your baby to safely and cleanly shit and piss. You know, those everyday issues, like, I don't know, providing diapers to, like, families with newborns. Like, can I just say, of all of the things to criticize Gavin Newsom on, providing diapers to new families seems to me like maybe the lowest possible thing on the list of things to criticize, right? Because, like, hey, here's an idea. What if you give diapers to new families? And what if we just instead also, like, I don't know, provided like cribs and various basic necessities that families need after they have a baby? You know, like those baby boxes. You know, the baby boxes that New York City under Zoran Mamdani is introducing. You know, the baby boxes that Scandinavian countries provide to new families that can be repurposed into cribs for babies. Like, I don't know. It just kind of seems to me like this is this is one of the issues you should be tackling in order to, you know, make it seem like you're at least doing the job of governing. And like, hey, you know what would really help people on a day-to-day basis? Medicare for all. Remember how Gavin Newsom scuttled CalCare? You should be criticizing him on that. Except, oh wait, the Washington Post is just upset that taxpayers are predominantly on the hook to pay for new diapers for babies. And like, these are the kinds of folks who are trying to buy influence right now within the Democratic Party, right? Like, this is like the embodiment of the neoliberal third way ethos that is trying to run candidates in all the primaries across the country in the Democratic Party, right? And like, this is like, government, it should be providing diapers because government can come in and scale up their purchases of diapers and through that scale negotiate lower prices for said diapers than what individual families can negotiate and get. Like, that's why the government should do certain initiatives like that. Like, government is supposed to help people. That's why we have it. But the free markets, yeah, Californians get free diapers, but at what cost? And it's just like, Jesus. I do also just want to say, this podcast has been launched and has been open to the public since January of this year. It has 214 followers. The Washington Post ain't doing so hot right now. It ain't doing so hot. Here, let's just check out. Let's check out the YouTube channel real quick. This is this is from the Washington Post. I want to remind you guys, like, one of the biggest and most important newspapers in the country. It gets less views than I do. It has 525 subscribers. Like, I'm genuinely speechless. Weed isn't as harmless as you think. The rich debunking the rich don't pay their fair share. I can't imagine. I'm genuinely baffled by the existence of this entire channel. It is wild to me. I don't know how you fail this hard getting a show off the ground. Yeah, I'm officially bigger than the Washington Post. Next stop, bigger than Hassan, baby.
You know what could really fix it? If it was taken over by a billionaire who looks like Lex Luthor.
Yeah, You know, like a billionaire like Lex Luthor who builds fancy spaceships and crazy newfangled technology that can be used to spy on people in a pinch. Too bad no one like that exists. People should have more kids, but not like that with diapers. Babies should shit in the air like God intended. It's so bizarre. But I want you all to know, like, all of this is genuinely, it is hitting the country like a sack of bricks, right? Like this complacency with prices going up and up and up, with the GOP just openly saying outright, like, ignore what you know you've paid. Ignore what you know your wallet is missing. Ignore it. Okay? And also, not only that, but the government isn't here to help you. You take those diapers back. All right? We all know the only proper place for government is giving massive handouts to gigantic multinational corporations and billionaires. It's not there to help you, the little guy. This messaging is not going over well. And it's part of the reason why, and I've talked about it a bit, but like the Atlas polling right now, when it comes to like how Donald Trump is doing, there's like no demographic thinks that Donald Trump is doing a better job, with one exception. And again, that is 45 to 64-year-olds, because that generation be cooked, I guess. But like, it is telling to me that when we look at how things are going when it comes to like the economy, like he's deeply underwater. When it comes to US economy and jobs, 33% think he's doing a good job, but 58% think he's doing a terrible job. And there's not really much daylight between those two extremes, right? Cheese Tortellini, thank you for the 1,000 joules. There is a deep rot within our country, within the GOP in particular, but it's not limited to the GOP. The tendrils that currently infest the Washington Post, infest parts of the Democratic Party, you know, the third way consultants, the consultant class, always guiding Democrats to more and more conservative extremes. It's a real problem, and it's hitting a critical mass in a way that I think a lot of people might not be prepared, or really, they might not be prepared for what's coming, I guess. And I'm hoping you all do get prepared, because we're about to see some crazy shit happen across this country. And one of the things here that I want to play for you is a new campaign that launched earlier today from Nebraska. Now, when people think of Nebraska, they're not typically thinking like a leftist progressive can win in Nebraska. But we're hitting a point in this country where people have been so beaten down. People have been so locked out of the political conversation if they are less powerful, if they don't have the prerequisite wealth to catch the ear of someone in a position of political power, that they have given up. And I want to play this campaign announcement video. This is from Ahlman for Nebraska. And I think you guys should get to know who Austin Ahlman is. He's running for Senate in Nebraska. And just watch.
I saw my parents break their backs every day on the meatpacking line to provide for me and my siblings. I was only 8 when Tyson shuttered the Norfolk plant, so I learned young what big corporations do to towns like ours. They strip them bare and leave them for dead. They just did it again to our neighbors in Lexington, and the politicians who looked down on us didn't lift a finger to stop it. But my mom did what Nebraskans have always done. She took care of the people she loves and did her best to turn the bad into something good. She built a new career out of nothing but grit, gave her kids a better life, and even managed to buy a little house on an acre outside town like she and my dad always dreamed. I never took the sacrifices my parents made for granted. I became the first person in my family to go to college and tried to make my living in the world the right way. uncovering corruption among Democrats and Republicans, and taking on the corporations that are destroying our way of life. But the security we worked so hard to build didn't last. My dad got cancer, and my mom's employer collapsed. The executives got paid, and the workers got screwed. She didn't have the heart to tell us, even when the bank took the house. And when she took her own life, the eviction notice was in her pocket. In the darkest moment of our lives, I remembered what she taught me. Take care of the people you love and fight with everything you have to turn the bad into something good. So I took on the bank, and my husband and I got our family's home back. I moved in to care for my dad, who's back on his feet and in remission. I stood up for my grandmother, who was getting cheated by utility and insurance companies, and I helped my brother get his small business off the ground, because that's the American dream and the lifeblood of communities like ours. My family's story isn't unique. Families all across our state are fighting, but the only ones who seem to be getting ahead are the elites on the coasts and the politicians who are selling us out to them. Costs keep going up. Wall Street is buying our homes and renting them back to us, and no one is looking out for the little guy. Nebraskans have always been fiercely independent. It's time our representatives were too.
My name is Ahlman, and I'm running for Congress to fight for your family the same way that I fight for my own.
It's time we break up the corporate monopolies that are raising prices and stripping Nebraska for parts. It's time we stop paying for all these foreign wars with our healthcare money and stop insurance companies from telling us they know better than our doctors. And it's time we show the billionaires in Wall Street and Silicon Valley who are pitting us against one another that we won't let them steal our way of life out from under us.
If you agree, then join us, and let's take Nebraska back.
Now, obviously, there are going to be some people who ask, like, why is he running as an independent rather than as a Democrat? And that's because in Nebraska, the Democratic brand has been so utterly and completely destroyed by years, decades of neglect and overlook from the Democratic Party, from the way that they've been hung out to dry by basically anyone who has aspired to political power. And no one will vote for a Democrat in Nebraska, but someone with an I next to their name, an independent who stands for progressive and leftist values, that they'll vote for.
Kowalski looks different from what I expected.
Is that Kowalski from Nebraska? If so, very different from what I expected. Wait, no, it's not. I've heard him speak. No. Wait a minute.
I still want to see a campaign ad that says something like, "How is Dan Osborne like cod liver oil, vitamin D? He's the cure for rickets."
Polybius, that was... All right. But, like, this guy's the real deal. Like, I think this can work. I think that this guy has the juice. Let's take a look at his campaign website. How we will take Nebraska back. Why I'm running. I was raised to believe in America. If you worked hard and played by the rules, you get to build a life you control, the community you could count on, a better future for your children. But somewhere along the way, big corporations and big government rewrote the rules, rigging our economy and our politics to enrich themselves at the expense of everyone who actually works for a living. Our leaders in Washington are too comfortable and too out of touch to care. Democrats and Republicans are busy pickpocketing corporate cash and climbing the political ladder. Too many of us feel powerless in our lives, at the mercy of faceless monopolies, infuriating bureaucracies and elites who couldn't find Nebraska on a map. Politicians and big tech elites try to keep us distracted with endless culture wars, but we're all wising up to exactly who's actually making our lives harder and who's profiting from it. Many of us feel politically homeless, but that's an opportunity. If we focus on what unites us and refuse to be divided, we can break the stranglehold that's been squeezing us for decades. That's why I'm running. Here's what I'll fight for. Drive down grocery prices, home prices, gas prices, farm costs. Make billionaires pay their fair share. Put more money in your pocket. Let's just take a quick look. Prosecute price gouging. Break up food monopolies. Excellent political stance. Ban Wall Street landlords. Hell yeah. End the Iran war, bring gas and fertilizer prices down? Hell yeah. Champion family farms and ranches? Hell yeah, because way too many, like there is a big difference between a family farm and a corporate farm. Though those are two very, very, very important things to understand, right? And when I hear like someone out of the Midwest, out of rural Nebraska coming in hot with let's break up the corporate monopolies, the prospect to me of breaking up some of these big agri-corporations that have been buying up and consolidating for decades. Ooh, that hits. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay? But it gets better, right? Cut federal income tax to zero for your first $38,000. I've been hearing more of this lately, and I'm a bit split on the idea of cutting the cut the federal income tax rate to zero. But because some of the proposals out there are like for anyone making under like $90,000, but for folks making like $38,000 or less, zero federal income tax makes a whole lot. And it makes a whole lot of sense to me, especially if it is combined with a call for progressive taxation, where those who have more over certain limits, they pay more, which is usually how this works, right? Billionaires should pay their fair share. And their fair share is bigger than a share paid by someone who makes $38,000 or less. Make billionaires. So I guess there's a need for more detail on cutting the corporate income tax rate to zero for me, especially because I feel like if it is not written clearly enough, there are ways that billionaires could like take advantage of that. Make billionaires and corporations pay their fair share. It's time to close loopholes and tax havens, simplify the tax code so that billionaires and corporations pay what they owe, and working people keep more of what they earn. That starts with making sure that billionaires pay the same taxes on their wealth that regular Nebraskans pay on their homes and cars. Hell yeah. Protect and expand Social Security. Time to lift the payroll cap. Yep. Folks, if there is ever a green flag on a political candidate, it is somebody who talks about Social Security and specifically talks about lifting the payroll cap so that billionaires pay their fair share and millionaires as well pay their fair share into Social Security. Support American families, expand the child tax credit, hell yeah. Strengthen incentives to have children, hell yeah. Fund family leave, hell yeah. And childcare, hell yeah. Break up Medicare monopolies when building a healthcare system that works for you, not the insurance companies. Cap prescription drug prices. Expand Medicare to cover all citizens. That's right, folks. He's pushing Medicare for all. He is pushing Medicare for all while running a campaign in Nebraska. Like, I gotta be honest, a lot of fucking green flags from this guy. Legalize marijuana, outlaw corruption and hold elites accountable, end elite impunity. Over the past 3 decades, the wealthy and well-connected have willfully crashed our economy, started illegal wars based on lies, enacted massive warrantless wiretaps, and flouted the law to fund genocide. The Uniparty has protected them. It's time we held them accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Hell yeah. I'm right there with you, brother. Big money out of politics, ban congressional stock trading, end Citizens United, ban super PACs, ban corporate PACs, ban lobbyist donations, cut the federal donation limit in half, create a real public matching fund system for our elections. Hell yes to all of that. Hell yes to all of that. Ban corporate lobbyists from Capitol Hill. Lobbyists have more access to your representatives than you do. They should be barred from Capitol Hill. We should end revolving door politics with a lifetime ban on representatives and staffers from becoming lobbyists. This is like, I feel like I've been like dying in the desert for the past several weeks, and we've just come upon an oasis filled with cool, fresh water. Like, this is the kind of stuff we need. Genuine, right? It's a little yellow flag with the Uniparty narrative. It's not at all. He's running in Nebraska. He is running in Nebraska as an independent. Going with the Uniparty narrative is literally a winning message in Nebraska. I guarantee you. And I like the outside the box thinking of like, straight up, if you are a lobbyist, you are not only banned from giving money to these candidates, you are also banned from even going to Capitol Hill. Okay? New leadership in Washington. We need new leadership. I will not vote for Majority Leader Hakeem Jeffries or House Speaker Mike Johnson under any circumstances. Hell yeah. Protect our families, resources, and workers from Silicon Valley. We'll pause the building of AI data centers until we have a regulatory system that protects American families, livelihoods, and freedoms from big tech billionaires and San Francisco elites. You know what? I would go farther than that, but this is an excellent start. Secure the border and end corporate exploitation. It's time massive corporations stopped exploiting illegal immigrants in order to drive down wages for American workers. We'll secure the border, send violent criminals back, and make sure those looking for a chance to be an American are given a fair shot at earning the privilege. This isn't as good as I would like, of course, but also does touch on the fact that in Nebraska and in lots of highly rural states across the country, there has been a de facto resurgence in slavery. There's not really a gentle way of putting it, because what's happening is essentially you have these big farms that rely on undocumented immigrants. And because ICE has been roving and patrolling, the folks who work on these farms are scared of getting caught. They're scared of being turned in. They're scared of losing everything. And their bosses threaten them and coerce them to keep their wages lower than they would be, right? This is a huge problem, and I like that he addresses it in this section. Let's take a look at this next section. Protect our liberty from big government, big tech, and the surveillance state. Defend the Second Amendment. That goes with the territory of Nebraska. Protect personal freedom and choice. Enough of the culture wars. Every American should have the right to live their life the way they choose without big government getting in the way. That means taking a stand for religious liberty and defending people's rights to control their own bodies, which is, again, a very, very, I would say, clever way of basically making an argument for abortion rights in this country, right? You're running as an independent, but you want to signal to folks, I will fight for your right to get an abortion if I have to. That is excellent framing, right? Let's take a look. Let's keep going down the line. A government that works for you will we must cut redundant regulations, needless paperwork, government waste. Government services should be easier to access and get answers from, and bureaucracies must be accountable. The government must work for Americans, not the other way around. Fund local police, not a standing domestic army. We must reduce wasteful federal law enforcement spending and redirect it towards state and local police, the ones who actually know and serve our community. But I am in favor of cutting the federal militarization to be used on domestic soil. End government spying and censorship. We must end warrantless mass surveillance, ban agencies from buying your personal data, investigate every federal agency that has abused its authority. Since the government can't constitutionally censor you itself, it shouldn't be able to outsource it to Silicon Valley either. End local overreach. We must rein in the out-of-control local governments and homeowners associations that try to dictate what you can and can't do or build on your own private property. Honestly, some of these things, end local overreach, that's going to be really popular in Nebraska. I can tell you guys that much. I do really like his section on ending government spying and censorship. Funding local police. I don't think local police generally need more funding. I suppose if you're going to use that funding specifically, I don't know, to expedite, rape kit testing, I'd be super in favor of that. But something tells me that's not really on the plate, as it were. Actually put America first, no funding for foreign wars, end foreign military blank checks. We've spent trillions on other people's wars with no clear objective, no exit strategy, no authorization from Congress. Not one more dollar spent, not one more soldier sacrificed without a real debate and a vote. Stop arming dictators. We pour weapons into authoritarian regimes around the world and act surprised when they're used against civilians or end up in the hands of the enemies. Our own soldiers are fighting. We must hold all our allies to our own high standards and values and strengthen accountability to prevent further impunity. Break up the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower warned us what happens when a handful of defense contractors profit from endless conflict and spend millions lobbying to keep wars going. We will audit the Pentagon, break up the big defense monopolies, and end their grip on American foreign policy, and demand accountability for every dollar wasted while many of our own veterans are sleeping on the streets. Look, he's talking about Israel in there. He's talking about going after the military-industrial complex. like there are a couple bumps in here, but overall, this is an incredibly good platform. This is an incredibly strong platform. We got a good apple here. I would argue so. I would argue so. I've seen some people asking, how is he polling? I have no idea how he's polling because, he hasn't, I mean, like the campaign was just announced today. That being said, according to Prem Thakur on Blue Sky here, there is some, I guess, preliminary polling here. A head-to-head between Republican Mike Flood and the Democratic candidate Chris Bachmeier, and with Mike Flood winning. However, kind of looks like Austin Ahlman has a shot, at the very least a toss-up shot. And that's really fucking cool. If we can take a Republican seat out of Nebraska... Oh yeah, also, it goes without saying, but Austin Ahlman here is left of Chris Bachmeier. Like, Chris Bachmeier is not a particularly leftist Democrat. I'm not entirely sure how this all shakes out, but I will say I do think that Austin Ahlman's campaign is going to resonate a lot better across Nebraska than Chris Bachmeier's campaign. He just announced his campaign, so who knows? I don't necessarily trust this polling at first blush, just as something that they put out there, but like, I would love to see exactly what the reception is in Nebraska to this campaign announcement. So all of that being said, this entire section, this entire segment we've done here has been about how the GOP and how the failure of the GOP to provide material benefits to even their own voters is something that has become a meaningful problem. And we are less than 2 years into this presidency. And we haven't even hit the midterms yet. And I'm here to tell you, like, there are a lot of folks like Austin Ahlman who, their moms are dead because they lost their job. Their dads unexpectedly got cancer. And like their family's entire life savings just disappeared overnight. There is an ongoing deterioration in this country that is radicalizing people to take action that they previously wouldn't have even considered doing. The possibility window is opening. And I think folks need to understand and also reckon with, we're in a time where all of us are being called to step up. People in the heart of Nebraska are stepping up. People in every corner of this country are stepping up. And we've got to do everything we can to make sure that the path we travel on as a nation is to the left, to a better tomorrow for everybody, to an actual honest-to-God democracy, free from corporate, corporate degradation. Oh, and Gamergy, I agree with you, right? Like, in the long run, stuff like this is not a sustainable model, but I would argue that this is less a, like an independent running who's gonna inevitably caucus with Democrats. That's not necessarily a system. That is it's reactionary, right? It's reactionary to the institutional failures of Democrats, right? And the fact that Democrats have so profoundly failed such a large swath of this country, it is a backlash to that, right? And so in order to get more progressive policy, people are going to independence. And I think that that's like, this is about as good as we can currently expect out of Nebraska. It's a tourniquet on an open wound that the Democratic Party has self-inflicted. We all need to be stepping up right now, because I also want you all to understand this window of opportunity we have with the upcoming midterms and 2028, this window of opportunity might not open up for us ever again. It might not open up for the left. It might not even open up for basic bitch Democrats if conservatives can successfully consolidate.
What do you think of farmers wanting deregulated workers because they are easier to intimidate than the undocumented workers?
Wanting deregulated workers? I guess I would need you to elaborate a little bit.
Trying to catch up on past streams, thought of a thing I to say. Living in America right now is like being tied to train tracks and watching the lights approach. We need to dismantle the train.
Well, I mean, we don't even need to dismantle the train. We just need to hit the fucking lever and get it to go down a different set of train tracks. Then we can get ourselves untied and we have an entire successful train that we can ride around and go toot toot. Also, thank you for the $60 dono. Very much appreciated. Domestic, I guess I'm wondering what you mean by deregulated workers versus undocumented workers, because undocumented workers are already deregulated. And I don't know how a deregulated worker would be easier to intimidate versus an undocumented worker who's almost definitionally the most vulnerable in the country. So that's where my confusion on your question comes in. If I can get more clarification, I will be able to answer your question. Okay. Anyway, I just some food for thought. Okay. I think that's all really interesting. I think we're seeing we are seeing the breakdown of American political society, and that's really scary. And I think we need to reckon with like where we are with the times, because it's not going to go back to just being status quo. I can tell you guys that much. Whatever happens. All that being said, if you like this, give it a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Comments longer than 8 words really help in the algorithm for whatever reason. And also get fucking organized. Get organized. Join your local Dems. Join your local DSA. Get organized. Those two groups, your Dems and your DSA, they are literally available anywhere in the country. We can help you get started, okay? Join our Discord. Reach out to GamerG for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. We can get folks involved and we can make the party more progressive. We can make DSA more effective. That is the name of the game. Getting as many people involved, getting as many people organized together as we can to hit a critical mass. And I, for one, really hope each and every one of us can step up as much as we are able. And last but not least, do check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is non-tucking lingerie. It is comfortable. It is sexy. Go check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down in the description. And let's all keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.